Tu mam wybrać rozumiem, czy opuść spotkanie?
Jak sobie życzysz, słuchaj, jak sobie życzysz? Jak sobie życzysz? Ja tutaj tylko wezmę, sprawdzę, czy na Facebookach wszystko działa. Tu mam wyciszone.
Jaką my, Krzysztof, widownię mamy na ogół? Tak, jak z swoich doświadczeń, bo już parę tych degustacji było streamowanych.
Wiesz co, powiem tobie, że zwykle tak koło 2 osób.
Tak, ja byłem. Zawsze, chociaż wejdę na chwilę posłuchać.
Ważne.
Nie, wiesz co, nie pamiętam teraz, która degustacja, chyba Dead Reckoning. Ona miała dużo osób. Ona miała tam pod 20 parę chyba podchodziło, no ale mam taką świadomość, że to nie tylko Polska, nie? Że to rzeczywiście tam i z Beneluxu całego tam byli zainteresowani, i z Anglii, i z Francji, no bo to wiesz, nowa marka, nie? Nowa marka na rynku. I w związku z tym wiesz, zaciekawienie było duże, nie? No, więc tak, tam było dłużej. Ja wiesz, przestałem patrzeć na ten licznik, bo jak widzę takie 2 osoby, na przykład jak my już siedzimy drugą godzinę, widzę 2 osoby tam oglądające, to mówię, Boże, Jezus Maria, co ja źle robię, nie? Wiesz, o co chodzi. I zaczynam zastanawiać się nad tym i to mi burzy jakby rozmowę, spotkanie samo w sobie, więc nie przestałem na to patrzeć w ogóle.
A
E,
nie udostępniasz na tego, na YouTubie?
to?
Nie streamujesz na YouTubie jeszcze?
No właśnie streamuję, to o tym właśnie mówię, nie?
Ale
Że
to mówili na Facebooku, ale na YouTubie nie?
a nie robiłem tego jeszcze, mówi, żeby robić.
Bo oprócz tego, że możesz, jak już streamujesz, to możesz wszędzie streamować, nawet na Facebooku, więc
No ale chyba nie z jednego komputera, nie?
z jednego. Tam rozdzielasz po prostu, wyrzucasz źródła, gdzie masz streamować i
Dobra,
prowadzisz
wiesz
live.
co, to umówmy się, że sobie na offline się spotkamy, bo teraz już nagrywa, potem ludzie będą na YouTubie oglądać, jak my gadamy o tym, jak
A
streamować.
dobra, no okej.
Dobra, poczekaj, na żywo, Facebook, tu mamy tak, Explorer, Explorer. No dobrze, dobry wieczór wszystkim. Jeszcze raz, już po pierwszych podeszkach jesteśmy. Miło mi Was powitać na degustacji Rummie Club, projektu stworzonego przez Judith, naszego dzisiejszego gościa specjalnego z Amsterdamu. Słuchajcie, to co w zasadzie gdzieś chyba pisałem na Facebooku czy w jakimś artykule, że moje pierwsze podejście do Judith i do ich projektu było mocno nieudane, nie? Wiecie, przemiła osoba, to wydarzyło się, to był 2019 rok. Nie mam pewności, ale tak mi się wydaje, 2019 rok, na festiwalu w IJmuiden w Holandii i tam opowiadałem przy podsumowaniu któregoś z festiwali, na pewno tego, ale w którymś roku, że jest to jeden z nielicznych festiwali, podczas którego obsługa stoiska wychodzi do gości, zaciągając ich do stoisk. No po prostu nie spotkałem się z tym nigdy wcześniej, więc kompletnie nie umiałem odmówić, więc waliłem do każdego stoiska łącznie z whisky, za którą nie przepadam, tak? Więc jednym z tych stoisk właśnie było stoisko Rummie Klubu. Przemiła Judith, z przemiłym Martin. Judith, this guy from you is Martin?
Martijn, yeah, so
Martin.
it's the Dutch way of Martin, yes.
Okay. Więc oni tam sobie stali, zachęcali, dali mi to do spróbować. Wiecie, ja robiłem dobrą minę do złej gry, no bo do złej, w sensie takim, że tak mówię, no nie robi mi to rewelacji, tym bardziej, że obok nich spróbowałem wtedy pierwszy raz Tamosi. No więc marne miało to szansę wówczas wygrać, nie? Z Tamosi projektem, który część z Was zna, więc jest genialnym projektem niezależnego bottlingu. No i to był ten moment, w którym dobra, okej, powiedziałem, że spoko, to wrócę i nie wróciłem. No i tak te kilka lat minęło. Na poprzednim festiwalu Rummie Klubu, w sensie marki chyba nie było, z tego co pamiętam. I w tym roku, jak byliśmy, to oczywiście gdzieś tam Judith się dowiedziała, że jesteśmy, pojechaliśmy z Piotrkiem ze Szczecina, dowiedziała się, że jesteśmy i tam szukała, zaciągnęła nas do tego stoiska i pokazała nam nowe rzeczy. Jak pokazała nam te nowe rzeczy, czyli w zasadzie wszystkie te, które, chyba większość z tych, które dzisiaj mamy na degustacji, to mówię, kurczę, odrobili zadanie domowe, naprawdę zrobili fajną robotę, dużo lepszą, naprawdę dużo lepszą niż poprzednim razem. No i na tyle byliśmy z Piotrkiem zachwyceni, szczególnie tymi dwoma Dundrem i rumem wydestylowanym ze świeżego trzcinowego soku, że chcieliśmy kupić, ale tak szybko, coś tam musieliśmy jechać, zapomnieliśmy, nie? No i potem akcja, skontaktowałem się z Judith, wiesz co, mówię, to skoro mam kupić te dla nas butelki, no to skalkulujmy to, sprzedaj mi te wszystkie butelki, zróbmy degustację. I w taki sposób się dzisiaj spotykamy. I, i będziemy mogli, czy ja już je znam, tak? Więc wy będziecie mogli spróbować tych dzisiejszych rumów. I teraz ja sobie wymyśliłem to w taki sposób, patrząc przez pryzmat intensywności, wiecie, że zawsze ustawiamy kolejność intensywnością rumów, jakby na takie 3 etapy sobie podzielimy tą dzisiejszą degustację. Pierwszy etap to będziemy pili jakby 3 naraz, tak? Nie tak, że jeden po drugim, tylko 3 naraz i zaczniemy od finiszy koniaku, madery i sherry. Potem przejdziemy do różnic w beczkach, czyli będą dwa te same rumy, które były starzone w bardzo podobnej ilości czasu, ale jeden w beczce z dębu amerykańskiego, drugi w europejskim. I na koniec zostawimy sobie 2 te, które zrobiły na mnie rzeczywiście największe z całego setu wrażenie. To dzika fermentacja z dodatkiem dundru oraz wydestylowane ze świeżo wyciśniętego soku trzcinowego. Także tak to sobie wyobraziłem. Więc zacznijmy, tak? Judith, this is your turn. Tell us about the project, about you, your history, why RAM, why everything. Don't talk about difficulties which you have now, because
Yes.
we only want to talk about only good things and
Okay.
your possible future in RAM industry. Okay?
Okay, interesting.
Okay. So I'll give you a power. Give me a second. Remember,
Oh yeah, I'll share that presentation. Let me
because
see.
we usually have about 1.5, sometimes 2 hours for main meeting with the special guest like you now, and after that we stay and we have something like after party. We talk about you, how bad was you, everything, everything like that. And but remember, before you leave our meeting, you have to give back the power of the meeting, the host.
I
Okay?
will. I
Remember
won't leave and
remember that.
everything shut down. No, that's okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, I see. Now I'm the host. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen because I have no clue what he just told about me, but I will give an introduction myself
No,
too.
everything good. Just a little bit. I talked to our guest how we met in
Yes.
2019, and after that we had
COVID gap.
big break, yeah, and we met this year second time, and that's it. So you have everything to say if you want to say.
Yes. Oh, good. Oh, good. Let me share my screen with you. Let's see. Can you now? I'll start something here. Do you all see a presentation?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, of course.
Good to hear. My partner and I, we started a rum distillery in Amsterdam. It's called Rummie Club, and as you can see, it's quite colorful. So this is me and Martijn, my partner. We started the distillery in 2019, so that's at the end of 2019. So that is 4 years ago now. It's been quite an adventure, to say the least. We were rum enthusiasts already. We were home distillers, so we just really like to make the products ourselves. And well, I guess you can do that till some point at home, but you can't really sell what you make at home, or at least not in the Netherlands. So going into a full distillery was quite a big step. We decided to give up our jobs and sell our house. And yeah, we just went all in, to say. But we're still very much a micro distillery. We are not anyway like the Mount Gays and the Foursquares in the world. We are very small, so it's quite different. And also, when you compare us to something like Tamosi, it's so different because they're an independent bottler. They can get maybe like a 31-year-old Guyana rum, and we'll have to wait 31 years before we have anything like that. So it's really a different starting point, to say. And what is a Rummie Club is, well, we do rum production in the Netherlands. That's really not something that is done a lot. There are a few distilleries here, but they mainly focus on Genever or gin, stuff like that. So a rum-focused distillery was a first for the Netherlands. And well, for us, it's very important to also really focus on the craft and the production. And that's quite uncommon here, because in the Netherlands, it's a lot of traders, marketing. You have ENA's here, of course, like the biggest company in rum blending. So a lot of rum brands, they do come from Amsterdam, but for us, that's not the fun. We want to be like hands-on and make rum. So that's why we started a distillery, but also why we think it's very important to take people into our journey and educate them a little bit about rum, because especially in the Netherlands, I think it's a thing in a lot of countries, but over here, people don't know anything about rum. So we really wanted to make them part of it. And we also started a store, our own store, the Rummie Club Drink Store, where we put obviously also emphasis on our own stuff, but we also show a lot more other craft drinks. But I'll show you a little bit more later on. So first I'll start a little bit with a presentation about what we do, who we are. And if you have any questions, just definitely let me know. And then, of course, I think we'll see what way we want to do the tastings in between. I also have a bit about the production ways that we use. I always tend to be a little bit geeky in talking, so stop me when it's too much. But we'll see how it goes. So let's say we started the distillery in 2019. We needed to get some funding, and then we got the distillery. So as you can see, it's quite a small distillery, but it's very high and very colorful. And then when you start a distillery, you have to start with the unaged ones, obviously, because you need to wait for the aged ones. So that's when, right during the beginning of COVID, we started with these two expressions. So that's our basic white rum, it's the colorful white, and the overproof one, which is quite funky to say. But then COVID hit, which was obviously very difficult, and we also did a cocktail service. But we now do still sell cocktails, but it's not our main focus. We made that a bit broader. We now also have a spiced rum and a barrel-aged rum. but today we're going to taste all the special editions. And I think that also says something about what we like to do. So I think we're not, maybe sales and marketing is not always our strong suit, but we love to experiment with all different types of rum. I think what you are going to see is a lot of different styles, and it all comes from our distillery with the same molasses, but still there are so many different factors and different ways to make rum. This is also our store. So the distillery is a little bit further outside of the center of Amsterdam, but the store is right in the center. So we have two locations. And this was also about store. This is then the store. So what we also like to do there is to get people more into tasting from the barrels themselves. So that's actually also the first three that we're gonna taste is the ex-cognac one, an ex-Madeira one, and an ex-sherry one. And why we started with those is because we wanted to have something in the store for people to be able to taste straight out of the barrel. So actually, I'll explain already a little bit about those. So maybe it's good to pour to pour some. The ex-sherry and the ex-Madeira are both a bit different. Like the ex-sherry has been in a cask in our distillery already, a PX sherry cask. It's a 128 liters, but obviously I couldn't really lift that to the store. So in the store, we have a smaller ex-sherry cask, which is only a 10-liter cask. So it's in the distillery for, I think, 2 years. And then it's in the store for a few months, but it's getting tapped straight from the barrel, which means it will still change. If you come and buy it in the 2 months earlier, it will be different when you come in 2 months later. So the one that you had, I think we tapped it around a month ago, and it will be around 2 years. The ex-Madeira one only has been in the cask that it has in the store, which is a 40-liter cask. So that's quite a small size. So the wood influence gets into the rum quite fast. But I think we're going to start with the ex-cognac one. I think maybe it's good to have one if you like. And also the ex-cognac rum has been in our distillery first in a big cask. So it's just a 200-liter ex-cognac cask, which it has been for around 2.5 years. And then now it's in the store in a 50-liter cask. And well, I'll explain a little bit more about how our usual rum production works, but I thought it's always good to start a tasting with a little bit to drink. So I thought let's start early. So,
excuse me, Judith, I need to speak English. So we start from ex-cognac, yes?
Yes, we start from the ex-cognac one,
okay,
which is not too intense. At the ABV, it's around 43.5, I think, or 43.8, I think. So I guess it's a good start because the rest is going up in ABV. As you already noticed, our rum is quite, how do you say that? Powerful. There's a lot happening. That's also always something that we wanted it to be, quite full. And we're hoping to also taste the molasses a little bit in the rum to get it back to where it comes from. But in this rum, you can also taste a little bit of the fruitiness of the ex-cognac cask. So if you have any questions about the rum or remarks, just go ahead and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, what about all the whole process. You buy Malasa and do all of these things step by step. Where you where are you buying Malasa from?
Yes,
Everything.
I'll take you into our production and then just have a taste and see
Okay.
later.
Okay.
So indeed, the Netherlands is not really a good country to get sugarcane. We don't have the climate for it. Maybe that's also why there's not a lot of rum distilleries in the Netherlands. So we tasted molasses from a lot of different countries, to be honest. You can get quite some molasses in the Netherlands because it's also used by farmers. So there's a lot of imported molasses in the country, which makes us quite, how do you say that? Well, we have a lot of choice, which is great. We tasted some from Indonesia, we had some from India, we had some from Brazil, and we had some from Paraguay. The one from Paraguay is the one that we eventually chose, also because it's an organic one. And well, we could get all the questions that I asked about the sugarcane, they were great. And also, it's just the one that gave us the most exciting flavor, to be honest. We did a lot of experiments. So this is the molasses that we use, or actually this is the sugarcane fields where the molasses is produced from. We almost always work with molasses, except for the last edition that you're going to taste. We also did a sugarcane juice version, but that's quite complicated as we are not really near sugarcane in the Netherlands. But we're happy that we're able to get very consistent and good quality organic molasses, which still contains around 60% sugar, which is, we're very happy to be able to use that. And to explain a little bit about the production process, we start with the molasses, and that's what we're going to ferment. But it's still very sticky and not fermentable, so we add water. Sometimes we also add yeast, but sometimes you also work with natural fermentation, and it will be the yeast in the air. After the fermentation, which I will explain a little bit more about, that's a step that's very much, how do you say that, important to our rum. We have the distillation, and after that we start with the aging, proofing it down to a percentage that ABV that we choose, and then it's ready for bottling. And all steps are done by me in the distillery, so it's quite small. We don't have any employees or anything, so it's every bottle, every label I put on.
So you also write your hand, your pen, personally, all the labels?
That's right. It's a lot of work, but it's also fun.
Okay.
Yes, we don't have any machines for it or anything, so but it's quite a meditative thing to do. So I think it's good for your mind to just fill some bottles sometimes. I can definitely encourage everybody to do that in your life. So to go on to our production process, obviously we just have a fermentation, which is the yeast eats the sugars, and that's where the alcohol comes from. And that's also where we like to experiment. That's where we make a lot of different rums. Here you can see Martijn in the picture on your left above. It's where we also add something very black. That's the dunder. And dunder is what's left over in the still from last time. We reuse that into the fermentation, and it gives us quite intense flavors.
And Judith, if I may ask you, how long is the fermentation usually?
Good question, definitely. We do at least a week. So everything that you're going to taste is at least a week fermentation, which is quite long because most of the sugar's already been converted to alcohol in around 2 days or so. But we want to keep it for a longer time for it to create esters and other flavor components. So the base is a week, but if we go up to the more funky editions like the Dunder edition or Overproof, then it's more like 3 weeks of fermentation.
Okay, thank you.
So quite some time, yeah. And it will go from to around 8 to 9% of ABV, so a strong beer to say.
Are you add water to sugarcane juice before fermentation?
So the sugarcane juice, we only use in one edition. Normally we use the molasses, so that's the molasses is like when they get the sugars out, and this is what's left over, so it's very thick black, and that's what we add water to make it a wash. That's how we call it. So we don't use the sugarcane itself, we only use the molasses, except for the last edition that you will try today. I think it's the last one, right?
Okay, thank you.
And then I was talking about the fermentation. So in fermentation is where we can make a lot of funky flavors, like the esters that you maybe know from Hampton or other Jamaican style. That's flavor components that we're usually looking for. That can get very complicated, and it's also something that we cannot always pinpoint directly. An ester, so a flavor component, is a combination of an alcohol and an acid. But there's so much happening inside the fermentation that it's quite difficult to control. One way for us to make funky and interesting spirits is to use our own yeast. So quite often we use commercial yeasts just because they're a lot easier to use and it's a lot more profitable to say. But I guess maybe we're not always the best businessmen because we really just like to experiment and find out new things. So this is one of those ways. So the Dunder edition is, for instance, made with our own wild yeast and always overproof too. That's when we get yeasts from our garden and we grow them and then we use them in the fermentation in the distillery.
Is it possible to fermentation on melasse with wild yeast?
Yes. So molasses it still contains a lot of sugar, and yeast love sugar. So actually, molasses is great fermentable. So it goes very quickly. If I leave it, it will ferment. There's so much sugar to be eaten.
Okay, thank you.
So what you maybe can taste in this one, obviously, is there's a lot of cask influence, but there's also a lot of rummy flavors that I call them. So if you keep this in your glass, it will stay in your glass for a while. Then at the beginning, Chris, you had a few questions. You said, why are you doing this, right?
Yeah.
So we get the question often, why do you choose rum? Because I think it would have maybe been more logical for us to go for gin or whiskey or something like that. But for us, rum, it's just always a little bit undervalued. So it still has so much, I think potential. It's something that I personally already really loved to drink, and I was quite surprised to be honest, to see how great quality you can still get for not that bad of a price. That I really felt like people should know more about this. I want them to go on the route that we took. I already saw that there are great people in Rome. And yeah, that also matters a lot. So I've been traveling the rum world now for a few years, and I made a lot of great friends. We just started, and I feel so much support by everybody. And we don't really know what the future will bring. That's what you also spoke about, right? What we really love to do, to be honest, is to sell to independent bottlers. Because we are not really big fans of selling the bottles themselves. And if we work with an independent bottler and we can sell a cask to them, it's perfect because we can make rum, we can experiment, and they can do the marketing and the sales.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a bit of the route that we're hoping to take. We already did a few within the Netherlands, and we just did sugarcane juice cask that went to the US to a bottler. And maybe you know Rasta Morris from Belgium.
Yeah.
So they also have a few of our casks that they will be releasing at some point. And for the rest, there's already quite some casks at ENA's here.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point you will be seeing a little bit more of Rummie Club, also going different ways than just our own brand, I suspect.
Nice.
And next to that, in our distillery, we also make drinks for other people. So we do white label, we do lots of, yeah, whatever they wish, we're gonna make it. That's so hopefully in a few years we'll be, yeah, we'll just slowly, people will find out that we can make it rum and they'll be interested in it. So, and then hopefully more people will be able to try it out.
Yeah. So I wish you such situation, really.
Yeah. But it's something that you really need to have
Remember, we
patience.
met before. You will be famous.
Yes, I need help from people like you. Yes, no, definitely, it does work like that in the rum world. Luckily, we have great, we know great people in the rum world. But yeah, it's still something that you really need patience for.
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe it's nice to open up the next rum. And then I'll explain also a little bit about the still. But I think it's nice because we have quite a lot to taste.
Mm-hmm. Which one now?
I
Madeira?
think it was the sherry, right?
Sherry, okay.
Yes, let's do the ex-sherry. And I saw in your email that you already said that you were quite surprised that there's a lot of cask influence and they're quite different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's also something that we kind of wanted to show. This ex-sherry cask is one of our basic rums. So it will be 1 week of fermentation. This will not be with wild yeasts. And it has been in cask for around 2 years. We would like to have older rums. We would like to have 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, but we're just not that old as a distillery. So that will come. That will come. More nice things to come.
So we use different rums for different cask. The first one, the cognac one, there was different base rum done right now in cherry.
Good question. Good question. Yes. I think in basic we use around 3 marks that are really quite different. So we have the unaged rum that we really use a different process for. We have the aged rums and we have the funky rums. And sometimes we also combine those and blend those. In this case, the cognac cask and the sherry cask, they will be pretty similar. But the last few years, we have done a lot of trying out, still figuring out our best ways, especially in the time that those were made. So now we kind of know how we want to put in the still, how we want to ferment. But the time that this ex-cognac, ex-sherry have been distilled is a time that we still changed up a lot during every batch. So they won't be exactly the same rum into the cask. Later on, we will try a rum that has been exactly the same and then in 2 different barrels. But for these 2, or for these 3, you could say it's almost similar rum in 3 different casks.
Do we by any chance know which sherry was used?
Yes, it's a PX sherry.
Okay.
So it's quite a sweeter sherry. That was what we were aiming for, because we are in the store, and especially in the Netherlands, they are not always ready for the very intense spirits, and we like intense spirits. So we needed to also find a way to make it a little bit more easygoing and reach a bigger group. And that's why we chose to also age it in stuff like a little bit sweeter sherry cask or the ex-Madeira cask to make it a little bit more easygoing. So this one has an ABV of around 50%, which is higher than the usual 40% here, but it's also not 60%. So that's what we're aiming for in this series.
And how long do you keep this rum in the sherry cask?
Yeah, good question. In this rum has been in a sherry cask in our distillery for 2 years, and then another cask in our store for half year, or approximately. So in total, 2.5 years.
So you didn't use ex-bourbon cask on the beginning. So this is only ex-cherry cask.
Yes, you're right. It's both of the casks that we used were both an ex-sherry PX cask.
Okay, but
you're right. You can also do an ex-bourbon and then put it on a finish, but that's not what this one is.
Okay, and in your store you have very little casks.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think in my imagination, these maturations goes faster in your store. And
yes.
This is, you told us such a one good thing for me in my imagination. You put your rum into a small cask in your store, and your clients can came to your store, buy something, and try straight from the barrel, and they can came back to your store next week and next week and next week, and there is always a chance that this rum can taste a little different.
Definitely, there's a lot happening still in the store. Those casks are not sold out in a week or so. They are there for a year. So yeah, something is happening, and they can even come back with the same bottle, and I'll refill the bottle. So we also do just refills. I'll just open the cask, but that's also something we really wanted to show people. Okay, people in the Netherlands often think that you have dark rum and you have white rum, and that's they don't see the combination. They don't see it's aged in a barrel. That's why it's darker. So they think it just comes out differently in the still, but that's not true. It always comes out as white rum, and then when you age it, it gets a different color, or it should be like that.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to show it to people in the store. And you're right, it's small casks, so it has more influence. But it's only extra months, it's not extra years. So because we also need to, it shouldn't be too woody. If it gets too woody, it's not nice anymore. But it's scary for us, but because we don't really have that all in hand in the store. If people are slow in buying it, it can get too much wood. So they'll have to be quick. So, okay, before I will let you taste the last one, the ex Madeira, I will tell you also a little bit about our still, because it's not a very common still. You probably haven't seen it before. This is an ice still, what you see on the picture. And an ice still is a Dutch brand of stills. They are market leader in the world of micro distilleries. So they make equipment for small distilleries, and they're not a lot used for rum distilleries, I think. They are quite modern in a way because it has a computer and you can program it in certain ways to use it. But you still really need to have knowledge to understand how you need to program it. So it's not like I'll push a button and good luck. Why we chose this still is because it's, well, it's a local product, so that's always good, but also because it's very energy efficient, and also because it's capable of making a lot of different spirits, different ways in one still. So I can adjust things in the still to make different spirits. Let me see if oh yeah, well. So this is a 500 liter still, a lot smaller than what you will see in the bigger distilleries, but it still gives us quite a lot of rum. So we usually do around 3 to 4 batches per week, and that makes around a big barrel per week, a 200 liter barrel per week that we can fill. Well, when I distill, I obviously don't want to add everything that comes out. I don't like it all. So that's something that I still need to choose, even though it's a very modern programmed still. It's also a lot of tasting, smelling, trying out. But if you find your recipe, you can fill it in the still and try to run it the same time the next time. And as you can see, at the end of the run, we have the dunder left over. So that's what's left over in the still. That's something that we reuse in the fermentation to get extra flavors. Yeah. So after the distillation, we do age most of our spirits. We don't sell a lot in bulk or anything. We're not a big... In the Netherlands, you cannot sell in a supermarket spirits. So it also always has to go through a liquor store. And before we had a store, we were also not allowed to sell our own products to consumers, which makes it quite difficult in the Netherlands to sell your drinks. You cannot be at a market or at, I don't know, an event or anything and then sell your products. It means that we don't sell a lot of the bottles ourselves. And we were able to put a lot of our stock in casks. Also because of COVID, because like the bars were closed, they didn't drink the rum, so we put it into casks. Luckily. And as you can see on the picture, we have a lot of different sizes in our distillery. This is the cask that we started with in the beginning, when we were still learning a lot. So now when I look at the cask, I think, no, those weren't the best casks. We had the distillery at the end of 2019, but we didn't get the key for a year because the build was delayed. But we already bought the casks, so we needed to get them in our garden, get them wet so they weren't gonna leak, which was quite silly. So we lived in our apartment with casks in the whole living room for almost a year.
Nice.
Smelled nice, smelled nice. So what you see over here are 50-liter casks, then 100-liter casks and 200-liter casks. And now in the distillery, we mostly use 200-liter casks because they're just a lot cheaper and easier to use. There's a lot more left already from other distilleries.
What is the oldest rum you have in your casks now?
Good question. We got the key of our distillery in December 2019. And so we filled our first cask in March 2020. Well, I guess we all remember March 2020. I think we still kept that one. So it's our oldest one. So it's 3.5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit over 3.5 years.
Okay. And this is, what kind of cask is it?
That's an ex-bourbon cask.
Ex-bourbon, okay.
It's a 100-liter ex-bourbon cask. And around the same time, we also have a 200-liter ex-bourbon cask. We don't usually use a lot of virgin oak. You will taste some later, but usually we rather use ex-bourbon or ex-cognac. I think those two are for us the basics, and then there will be special casks furthermore, because we have a lot of options of casks also in the Netherlands. So as you can see on this picture, we can just go dry somewhere and they'll import a lot of casks and we can just smell and say, okay, this is the one that we want. And they have all sorts of things. Okay. So we're quite spoiled with our options. And we quite like ex-cognac casks because, well, you notice rum is a lot in ex-bourbon casks because, of course, there's a lot of ex-bourbon casks and also the Caribbean is quite close to the US. But for us, it's the same price to have an ex-bourbon cask as an ex-cognac cask because we're a lot further away from the US and we are a lot closer to cognac.
Yeah. And
I quite like the fruity notes that the ex-cognac casks give. So for us, most casks are ex-bourbon or ex-cognac.
Okay. How many bottles or how much rum you have from PX? Because I like it most, so I have to ask you about that.
Oh, funny to hear. Yeah, from the PX, we have a 128 liter in the store, and we have a 50 liter also in the distillery. So we would have around 200 liters of the PX sherry, We don't have a lot of PX sherry, to be honest, also because they're quite expensive
Yeah.
to get a good cask. Yeah.
So if you sell all of your rum, PX rum, what will you do after that? Will you do that again?
Yes, we try to keep everything to make more than we sell. But sometimes that is difficult also financially to be able to keep your stock going because yeah, whenever it's in stock, you don't make any money on it. So luckily we have a partnership with ENA Scheer. It kind of started at the COVID period. So every year we make around 1,000 liters of rum for them, and they will put it into casks. So maybe it's also a good question. I can ask them if it can also be PX sherry cask for a while. So now it's mostly ex-bourbon what we do with them.
Okay.
So. But maybe it's then also a good time to get the ex-Madeira out, right? I also quite like to taste with you, so always good to refresh your memory. So the ex-Madeira is the youngest of these three. It's only been in a 50-liter cask. So that's quite a small cask. The other ones, they had a longer period of time before that in a bigger cask, but this one all had it in a smaller cask, which gives quite some wood influence.
When is the time? When is the perfect moment for you to fill the bottle, to take the rum from the bar out?
Yeah, it's always something to figure out. All casks are different. All rums are different. I had one rum and I put it in a cask that should be quite similar. So both, I think the 50-liter ex-bourbon cask, the same rum. A year later, they were completely different. So one rum was ready and the other one really wasn't. So for me, it's all about tasting, but also other factors play a role, like do we have a finished cask in the store? Is there a place for something new? And I've noticed that also some seasons, like in September, I quite like the rum in the barrels. And then maybe in winter, it gets a little bit less nice. So I don't know why, but it's also just seasonal. It changes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it changes all the time. And the ex-Madeira one, we decided to put it up earlier also because it's in quite a small cask. We didn't want it to have a lot more wood. So that's why we chose that. And in this case also, we usually put the rum on the cask for around 60%. So yeah, I would say 60% is what we do most of the time when we put rum into the cask. But for the ex-Madeira, we wanted it to be lower because we noticed that the sulfites you can sometimes get with ex-Madeira or ex-port or more like ex-wine casks, for instance. It gives you a little bit of a sulfite taste that we didn't really like, but if you keep the ABV a little bit lower, around 50% or so, it doesn't really come out that way.
Do you have any plans for more different bars in the future?
Yeah, well, our distillery is based in Amsterdam, so there are actually quite a lot of bars and cocktail bars here, but it's also very difficult for us as a small company to get into the bars, mostly because they have contracts with the big companies.
Mhm.
So they help pay for the bar, for instance. They give them a loan, but then they can only sell those few big brands, which means that around 90% or so of the bars in Amsterdam, they will not even start with the conversation about selling our rum.
Okay.
It's a small group. We really need the few bars that decided they want to have exciting stuff. They want to have not the big companies that we can work with. And we have quite a few that are great, that work with our rum. But it's not as big as a business as we hoped when we started.
Okay. So let us know, when can we try your rum when we will go to Amsterdam? But maybe I asked a little too quiet, because I asked about new barrels, new
Oh,
bar
new barrels. Oh, sorry,
and
I thought
new
new bars.
barrels after cognac peaks and Madeira.
Yeah. No, now I
Have plans.
understand. Sorry. No, so we do get new barrels. There's new things to try. We have a few things in the distillery that I am quite curious how they will work out. And we have, for instance, an ex-grappa cask. So it has been grappa on there. So it's not very familiar. It's something that we thought could work, but it still needs some time. And high on our list is also very weird, but something that we kind of saw something in an ex-tequila cask.
Mhm.
So I'll see if it works out, and otherwise also fine, we'll make something with it. We'll just like to experiment. Something else that we also made is, it's something that we call Cano, which is a liqueur, a rum liqueur based on rum and then sugarcane juice. So just plain sugarcane juice. Combined with rum is a liqueur that we make. It's called Cano. And we also have one of those barrels in our distillery now. So we have a barrel that contained Cano before the rum it was put in. So that makes it a little bit sweeter.
I think I tried during the festival, or not.
Could be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a very different product. It's 18%,
exactly.
and it's quite sweet, obviously, because it has a lot of sugarcane juice in it. But it's I quite like it that it's very much tastes like sugarcane. So I think that's very
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, well, I thought it was nice to put in some pictures of us working there, but as you can see, me barefoot in the distillery. Well, I just like to work there, fill up the barrels. We work just with pretty basic needs, but it gets us everything. So we just have a few tanks, we have a few pumps, and well, that's how we work in the distillery. And as you can see, it's getting quite full already. But we don't really plan to go to a bigger place because it's quite difficult to get a permit to distill in the Netherlands. And on this spot, we got this permit. So we will probably stay here for a while. Well, no, that's for later on. Well, I think that's the basic about what our production looks like. I don't know if it's very different from what you have seen from other distilleries before.
Once again, sorry.
Well, that's the basic of our production. I can understand. I think it's quite different from other distilleries, as in we have a different still, but for the rest, I think it's quite comparable to other rum distilleries.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, there is no only space for the biggest distilleries. Of course, they can more everything. But when I find some very little distillery, like yours now, for example, I like to try. I want to try it, and if I like it, I want to show to people. Exactly like now, because everyone in the past start somewhere.
True. Yeah.
From the garage,
definitely.
from the own room, or something like that. So everyone should have a chance to do something bigger.
No, I think you're very right. There's a lot to see. I think a lot of people are really they have a lot of passion for it. And I also have to say, when we started it, obviously we didn't know everything already. We did a lot of education, so we did a few courses, but we also visited a lot of distilleries. And for instance, Richard Seal from Foursquare, he was so helpful. We were able to ask him our questions, and that's where we got a lot of practical information. But after that, I think you'll just have to start and try out and learn. As long as you learn fast enough, then it's important to be able to try.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, I think then it's good to go on to the next two, right?
Yeah. Which one? The two different barrels, or because I
Yes.
saw your next.
No, you're right. It's better to do the two barrels first,
Okay.
because the other one are more explosive in taste.
Yeah.
I would say.
Guys, do you have any questions to Judith in this moment?
Yeah, I have one. I've checked it right now on the internet, and I see that your rums are not available in Poland. So,
well, we do have our own web shop, which sells to Poland. So we do ship to Poland, but from our own web shop. So we don't have a distributor or anything in Poland. We are now actually mostly in the Netherlands, but we sell to Zeewijk, which is quite a big rum liquor store, and they sell to all over the world. So our rum is in Fiji and in USA, but it's not really widely available. But you are able to buy our rums from our web shop, rummyclub.com, and we do sell ship to Poland. So
exactly,
you're one of the few countries that we have open. So it's Poland, Germany, Belgium. I think that's the three countries that we have now.
so when Chris, you will organize some, let's say,
when you all be ready. When you all be ready, I can do that all the time. So it's not a problem.
Yes. At some point, we do need to find more distribution options. I think it will be fun for us also to show it a little bit broader audience, because we're quite niche rum, where we are going for like rum geeks like you. And yeah, I think it would be good for us to broaden our horizon a bit and go for more countries in Europe. So at some time, I hope will be more available.
We can try, and I ask some people about that, and some companies. And if I get any information, I'll come back to you as soon as possible. So no problem.
Always good.
We can try.
Perfect. Well, then I think we'll go on to the barrel program that we did. The two barrels, which the big difference between these two will be that one is an American oak cask and the other is a European oak cask. This is a project that we did for someone else. So it's for a whiskey group. They're called Perfect Dram. And they were interested in also, so they buy up casks and then they, all the members, they get a bottle. And normally they do whiskey, but they were also interested in doing a rum. And actually, this is a program where first we started with the barrel with the virgin oak casks, one American and one European oak. Then it went to the whiskey distiller. And after the whiskey distiller, it went to the beer brewery. So when they got a bottle of rum, they got a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of beer. So we were first in line, which meant that we had virgin oak casks. Normally, we don't really work with virgin oak because it can be a little bit sharp. It's not really rounded off. It can be quite intense. But for this experiment, I quite liked because they wanted to show the difference between American oak and European oak. So it has been exactly the same rum in the same amount in a cask. One was 516 days and one 522 days. So both around 1.5 years. If you taste them, the American oak is a little bit more rounder, as the European oak is a little bit more herbal. And then you can maybe also understand why there's a lot more American oak used. This expression, they're all cask strength, so they're quite high in ABV. They're around a little bit below 60%.
Out of curiosity, was it first fill for those both barrels or?
Yes, so nothing has been in the barrels before.
Okay.
Yes, we don't do that often, but because they wanted the barrels to go to different places after the rum was put in, they wanted us to start with virgin oak. So nothing has been in here before.
Excuse me, just to be sure, you said this, but so both barrels are filled with the almost same rum, and
In
as
this
you
case,
said,
the same rum.
casks are virgin.
Same.
What means that they are filled with this rum first time? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Indeed.
am I right that American oak is more intensive both in the smell and taste?
Yeah, I guess they're very different. So that's something that I quite like about this experiment. I'm not sure if these are my two favorite ones of everything that we made, but I quite like that you can really see the difference between those two types of oak.
So definitely, as you said, that I think the American one is smoother and sweeter, some vanilla and licorice, is to me, while the European one is much drier, more herbal. Yeah. And to be very honest, I prefer the European one, but that's me.
Yeah, well, exactly. I have a few people that always come back for the American one and the other come back for the European. They always choose one. They never go for both because they're quite different. And you're right, the European one is a little bit more, yeah, herbal or so. And also what you said, Derek, it ages a little bit slower, we noticed. So it doesn't get that much color. It just goes a little bit slower.
In the European one?
Yeah.
So I disagree with Jarek, fortunately, so we can go together to the bar because he prefers European one. I would prefer rather the American one.
Derek, I love to disagree with you, always.
But that's always great from experiments, right? So you can see the difference, and then you can see everybody has their own flavors and things that they love. So
To be honest, both are good for me.
oh,
Both are
also
good.
good to hear.
Of course, they are different, but to be honest, of course, I agree with Jarek that this one from American oak is more sweet, more vanilla, and the second one is of course drier, and I feel some pepper also. So I think this European one is stronger at the end
Yeah,
for me.
stays maybe more in the mouth.
Yeah. So yeah, they are different, but both are good for me. Really.
Yes, but this, let's say, American Oaks one is closer to the traditional rum from Caribbean region. So maybe it's a secret why I prefer this one.
Yeah, well, most of the rums have been on American oak. Yeah, most of the rums have been on American oak. That's very true.
Yeah, we are joking because he knows that I like rums from this region
area, yes.
with the other purposes also, other reasons.
Yeah, for me, for me, favorite is the Madeira cask. American oak and European oak is too oaky and too dry for me. It is not much smoked.
Well, now you're talking about dry rums. As you maybe already noticed, we don't add any sweetener to our rums. Yeah, we actually just didn't really think about it. I know Richard Seal asked me quite fast after I came home, do you plan to add sugar to your rum? And I was like, no, why would I? I didn't even really think about it. So I guess that was the right answer for him. So, but
yes, but dry is not for me bad, but it's too much alcoholic for me.
Yeah, no, you're right. The other ones also haven't had any sugar added, like the Madeiras and the ones, but these ones are higher in ABV. They're a bit more punchy also because they only have been in a cask for 1.5 years, so they're not very old rums.
Maybe it's the short time. Maybe the longest it will be better for them.
Yes, I think we would definitely keep them longer in, but in this case, because it was virgin oak cask, the longer it stayed in the cask, the more tannins it gets. So it got too woody at some point.
Yes,
and that's also something that you have when you use virgin oak casks.
Yes, I feel the woody, but maybe you try to mature it like a whiskey 3 years.
Yes, no, I agree. This is definitely not. This is a special edition. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will
a
be
one
waiting.
time.
Christopher.
Yeah.
If Judith have a European oak and American oak matured by 3 years, I need to try this room.
You can come with us to Netherlands next year.
Okay. Do you have a barrel 2 years for a new virgin oak? American
You can do this personally in the distillery. So we can manage that.
Private degustation. Sounds good.
I do private tours definitely for you guys.
Yeah.
We do get a lot of people that come to Amsterdam that also visit Scheer, and then they also come to our distillery, which is a good combination to do in a day. So yeah, we open our doors definitely for people visiting and interested in rum. They're always happy to show what we're doing.
I have already big plans for next year trip to Amsterdam, and it will be 4 very long days. So yeah, I have already planned, and I will show it to people in Poland, and after that they decide.
Yes, I think Amsterdam is quite a rum capital now. We also have Benjamin with Tamosi, and we have Scheer. So we of course have Chris van Steding with all his great stuff that he's doing. So
and we have also
maybe not rum capital.
Because we have also Mitch Wilson there, so we have to him personally. So yeah, we have a lot to do in that place.
Yes, great. Well, I think it's good to go on to the last two, right? I think the most exciting ones of the tasting.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, do you have any questions to these two rams?
Yeah, just again, just to be sure. So the sweetness of this American oak is from the cask itself, yeah?
Completely, like nothing is added. So it's just rum in a cask. We don't filter it. We don't add any sugar. There's not even water added. So it's really all it is. Yeah.
And right now, maybe I missed it, this information. How long did you kept this rum in this cask right now?
So it's 522 days, which makes around 1.5 years, a little over 1.5 years.
Yeah, and the second one I have the label 516 days in Europe.
Yeah, the other one is 522, right? Or
yeah, exactly.
1.5 years.
Yeah.
Enough information. Thank you.
How strong is your alcohol after distilling? Because this is 50, almost 60%. How is stronger if you put it in the barrels?
We put it in the barrel at 60% most of the time. Sometimes we do 65, sometimes we do 55, but most of the time it's 60% in the barrel. When it comes out of our still, it's around 80%. So we get it from 80% till 60% with filtered water. We have great water in Amsterdam, to be honest, it's filtered by the dunes at the sea, but it's good to still filter it. There will always be some minerals and things that we're not really looking for at that point. So we use filtered water to bring it down to 60%, and then it will go into the barrel. Yes.
I still feel black paper in my mouth.
Before we go to the next, to the last two, I can see you have a big fan, which is Henry Larsen. He loves your bottles, rum, labels, everything.
Nice. That's always what we like to hear.
Yeah.
So that's also in our labels. We're not very common. I think we do it in a different way. It's something that we're inspired by the beer companies over here in Amsterdam. They have a lot of fun, playful, colorful designs. And I feel that it is, like sometimes in the spirit world, it kind of feels for me, either it's looking fun and colorful but the taste is a bit shitty and they're just very good at marketing. Or it doesn't really look, it looks a little bit old-fashioned, but the taste is great. And that's something that I kind of felt like it is possible to be young and playful and fun, and also be like focused on the craft. So that's something that we find important. And for every label of our base edition, so that's not all of these that we're tasting, but the base editions, we get a local graffiti artist for us to make an artwork to be put on the label. So it's all different local graffiti artists that make the labels. But let's go on to the last one. What did we think? Did we wanted to do Dunder first and then sugarcane juice, or the other way around?
What do you suggest?
Well, maybe we should do the sugarcane juice first.
Exactly.
I think the Dunder is maybe a bit more intense.
I thought the same. Exactly. Okay.
Good to hear. So the sugarcane juice is the only unaged one in this lineup. And immediately when you open, it smells very different from the other ones. Wait, let me get also some water in my glass, otherwise it will. So the sugarcane juice rum was actually one of our dreams that we didn't think was possible in the Netherlands. Normally, when you press sugarcane juice, it is going to ferment really soon, which means that it's not really possible to transport it to the Netherlands anymore. But in this case, there was a pallet of frozen-in sugarcane juice. So it got to our distillery when it was frozen.
Okay.
So it went all the way from Vietnam, where this sugarcane juice was from, to Amsterdam while it was frozen in. That is very expensive, also not very sustainable. But this was another company that imported it to the Netherlands, but then decided not to want to use it anymore. And then we were like, okay, then we would like to have it and make some rum with it, which was a lot of fun to do. And this was the first batch that we did because we thought there was only one pellet. But later on, we found even 5 more pellets that they brought on to the Netherlands. And we were also able to fill a cask, a 200-liter cask with sugarcane juice rum, and then still 100 liters that went to the US for an independent bottler. So there's around 350 liters of this sugarcane juice rum that we produced. It's still a very limited edition because it's not something that we can easily do. So the main difference here, or actually kind of the only difference, is that the base product is molasses from Paraguay, not our organic molasses from Paraguay that we usually use, but it's sugarcane juice from Vietnam.
From Vietnam.
Into our distillery, we defrosted it, and then we fermented it and distilled it.
Okay.
Well, quite good because I feel them earthy and a little citrus, and in smacked I have a grainy malty like this. Is the smacked like a new make of whiskey, a little bit.
Exactly.
But,
yeah, it gets more back to the ground product, I say. So this
first
one
time I feel, I think it's not a rum. I thinking, what is this? But
I cheat you.
okay.
Lucas, I think this is the different way. New
So
make.
I have in this bottle a rum or a whiskey. You make. Please ask me.
So, Judith, why Vietnam sugarcane?
Well, in this case, it's also the only way we were able to get frozen in sugarcane juice.
Okay.
It's not something that you can really get. But I have to say, I was quite happy with the quality because I have tasted sugarcane juice in different countries when I was visiting. And I was a bit scared that frozen in sugarcane juice like wasn't as good as you get it fresh. But I was still quite surprised that it's good quality of sugarcane juice. It had a perfect amount of sugar for us to ferment. And well, I think it's gotten quite vegetal, and you really smell the sugarcane juice, and that's something the sugarcane, and that's something that I'm very happy about.
So yeah, I'm also super curious. What is the difference between fresh sugarcane and juice and cane juice from frozen sugarcane? So yeah, I'm really curious. I didn't try it before, so yeah.
I'm curious too. Maybe someday I'll be able to also do it from fresh sugarcane juice. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm curious too.
You have to. I think you have to take your yeast and your still to Caribbean and do that in that place.
Well, in this weather, I definitely am thinking about it. So
Yeah,
maybe we should get our still and move.
exactly. You can
Yeah.
do the same as Luca Gargano now. You know, he takes his stuff and travel around the world, do different in different places, but in the same still. So you can do that the same.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? I have a still, and well, it sounds lovely though. I'll have to look it up. Maybe I can go. I know there's the Dutch also have a few islands in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
So I have been thinking about moving to another part of our kingdom where they grow sugarcane, but maybe someday.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I feel in my nose the olives with anchovies.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
When have you tasted the Clarin before from Haiti?
Łukasz, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because this is a typical whiskey guy.
Yes, I am typical.
But
Oh, you should.
if not, we will do that next month or this month. Next month, I think.
Yeah, I think Clarin is really it's also an unaged rum of sugarcane juice from Haiti, and they have a lot of different Clarins, but there's one of them, I think it was the Casimir. It really also gets a lot of olives out. I think it's very good that you picked that up. I quite like it when there's this olive funky note in the rum. And the rum that we will taste next to it is also funky, but it won't be the olive kind of funky.
I think, Łukasz, remember, tell me, am I right? I think you tried in our tasting in Rzeszów, Claren Communal Ancien. I think we did that. I think it was there, but it is a blend of aged rams from Haiti, so this is quite different.
Yeah, I
Yes,
always feel
it was
that
a
you
very long
lose it
ago.
in age.
I don't remember. Sorry for that, Krzysztof. Do you know, I prefer whiskey, but at the moment I explore the rooms that this sugar cane juice is the favorite for me at this moment for these olives and anchos and earthy, and it is a very I don't know what's I don't know a word in this moment. Give me a second. I try to find a correct word. Mm, I don't know his name. Maybe you help me. Surowy taki.
Um,
Row.
uh,
Difficult to
No, easy.
translate.
Okay.
Jesteście lepsi w angielskim niż ja.
Yeah, raw.
Jak?
Raw, like Derek said.
Ah.
Raw.
Okay.
It's more raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see they're raw. Yeah. I had a feeling with that.
Did you mature this rum for some times in?
No, when we have an unaged rum like this one, it hasn't been in a cask at all, but we do give it some resting time. It then stays into a RVS tank, the ones you can see on the photo behind the casks. So it will just stay in a tank like that for around 3 months to 6 months. At least 3 months.
It's
very smooth as a very raw, immature rum. I was surprised that say he's at least 2 years on the still barrel or maybe filtered by charcoal. But it's excellently smooth and very
cleanly distilled. Yeah, we did take a small part.
That's excellent rum.
50%. I don't feel any alcohol. It's very smooth and.
I think Jacek, when we go next year on Madeira, when we visit Oreizinho distillery, you can try also from the tank the fresh rum. It tastes super similar like this one.
I hope so.
You will see that.
In Madeira, they do a lot with sugarcane juice. So yeah, that's fun. I think when it comes straight out of the still at our place, it's usually a little bit bittery. It's not at its best, but if you keep it for a few weeks to a few months,
exactly,
it has fully developed and it will get a little bit better.
Exactly.
Oh, that's definitely something that we needed to figure out at the start. So we thought, oh, unaged rum, so it's ready, we'll just go for it. But we needed to know that we needed to wait for a few months and it will get better.
I have a question about ABV. Do you add the water? But it is a natural cask strength ABV.
No, this one is around 50%, I believe.
50.6.
7. 50.
6 or 7? I wrote 7.
Yeah, I think that's
50,
right.
50,7.
Yes.
So this is my I did that wrong because it is 50.6 on the label.
Oh well, that's close enough, I would say.
I'm sorry.
Around 50%.
I think I don't feel it.
Well, yes. So when it comes from our still, it's around 80%. So we add water because 80% is just, you cannot really taste all the flavors at 80%, I feel. So we proof it down and we try it at different levels to see how it works. So a spirit will taste differently when it's at 60% than it's at 50%, but it also depends a lot about that spirit, which ABV suits it best. And for this one, I quite like things around 50% because you do have a lot of intense flavors. When I go below 45%, then I noticed that the water isn't doing the spirits a lot of good. But around 50%, I do feel it opens up enough. It's not too harsh. So that's something that I quite like to go for around 50%. So in this case, we proofed it down with filtered water to 50% around.
Okay, Judith, may I ask you something?
Sure.
When do you think you will do the next rum from sugarcane juice? When?
Well, we have like the first one that will come out is probably the independent bottler in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
So that one will come out somewhere in the beginning of next year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have our own sugarcane juice barrel. That will probably be the one after that. So that will be a Rummie Club own edition. But I haven't really planned it because I want to just taste the barrel and see how it's going. I tasted it. It's now in the barrel for a little over half a year. So it still needs time.
Yeah, of course. So, you know what? I want to ask you to keep for us 2, maybe 3 bottles of the next year production process when it is straight from the still.
At the 80%, you mean?
At 80%. Because we love to play with rum. You know, when it has 80%, we love put some drops to the eye.
Yeah, no, I agree. Experimenting is fun.
Yes, we love that. We love that. So when you do that, please remember about me, about us,
Yeah.
and just keep for us 2, maybe 3 bottles. Maybe if it will be the next year, maybe I could add your rums to my next rum daiquiri competition.
Yeah,
No?
fun.
We can
Yes.
talk about that. We can talk about that. Yeah. Just
I'll let you know. Like the sugarcane juice production is a bit different from our molasses, so we're very reliable on when it's available for us to get. But I will let you know whenever we are ready for the new production.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks very much.
And are you guys ready for the Dunder edition?
Yes.
So let's see. This Dunder edition is actually also one of our older expressions. I think it was from August 2020. So it's a little over 3 years now.
This is from August 2020. This one, because
yes.
I have on the label 2 years old.
Yeah, I'll have some explanation for that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first 2 years, why it says 2 years on your label, is it has been 2 years in the distillery in its original cask, and its original cask was a 100-liter ex-bourbon cask in our distillery. And then we moved it to the store. And that's what's put on your label. It's been 2 years in the distillery. That was 2 years, and then it stayed in the store. But we bottled a few, so I wanted to write down how much time it already had in the distillery.
Okay. So now we have 3-year-old rum, yes?
Yes.
But this last 1 year was from the
a smaller cask.
Smaller one.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. So the first 2 years was in a bigger cask, a 100-liter cask, so not a 200-liter cask, but now it's in the store at a 50-liter cask, where it gets some more aging. And furthermore, I think it's important to tell a little bit about this addition, because here we were looking for a little bit more funky flavors. That's why we use Dunder in our Dunder edition. So that's what I already talked about. We do that a little bit more often. But what we also did in this one, what we don't really do in other aged editions, is that we use the wild yeast.
Okay, so in this one, you use wild yeast. How much time you fermented this one?
This one is fermented for over 3 weeks. And the wild yeast, we get raspberries from our garden, because yeast really like to be on fruits. And then we add sugar to it, and it starts to create alcohol, and we grow the yeast like that. At some point, we think, okay, this is a really nice yeast. We're gonna add it to a bigger batch in our distillery. And that makes quite funky flavors. We often use it more like pepper and salt in our blends, because it can be like too intense. It can be, too much. But if you use a little of it, it can give you some funky flavors.
Okay. Okay. And tell us more about the Dunder.
Yeah, so the Dunder is the leftover in the still. And we use around 100 liters into the next batch. So that's around 20%. The aim for using Dunder is that the Dunder is usually pretty acidic. And this acidity added to the fermentation gives it the option for flavor components to form. So esters are a combination of acids and alcohols. So if you add something acid and there's alcohol in it, there are possibilities for flavor components to form. Hopefully that's not all too geeky, sorry guys. So it's difficult to explain it in a fun way, but still also give some information about production. And so if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions, guys?
So you add Dunder to next fermentation, and then distiller then, yes?
Yes, indeed. So it's added to the fermentation where it will stay in for 3 weeks, and a lot of flavor components are formed. And then after the fermentation, it's going to be distilled.
Okay.
And after the distillation, this one went into an ex-bourbon cask.
Okay. So if I understand, you can't in one process distiller fill the whole barrel from whiskey or some different alcohols. Is it true?
Yeah, well, yes. So we need the leftovers from last time to be able to run the next one. But also our still is not so big. So we need to do at least 3 batches to fill 1 cask. So it will always be a combination of different batches put in 1 barrel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so for us, sometimes you see a big rum distillery and then they just do 1 run and they can fill up 50 casks or so. But for me, it's a little bit the other way around.
Okay.
So if you taste this one, you can get some, it's quite a punchy one. So maybe if you don't, I can understand if you say it's quite alcoholic for me, but after that, you can also taste the overripe fruits, and it will keep in your mouth for a while.
Yeah, it's always in the time. You did. I do many tastings, and I always one of rams, uh, which is which I use to the tasting. It's usually funky ram because I love it. I love it, and I always want to show to people how different ram can be.
Yes.
It's always in the end of the tasting. It's always this ram is always the strongest usually, and people usually say, "Wow, what's going on there? How it's possible? It's fruity, it's powerful, it's sweet." You you know that, and most of us here know it all also, because most of guys here was on every our tasting, my tasting. So yeah, we are geeks here mostly, and and when you said already that we can feel powerful and some alcoholic. Probably most of us here feeling the right way of this ram. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we are already know how to work with such alcohol. And
True,
remember,
not everybody in our store
remember,
is able to
and
try
remember
that
in the
one. So I usually don't start with the Dunder edition when they come into the store. But eventually when they are ready to taste it, then yeah, people do like to, oh, what's happening? New flavors that I wasn't involved in. So it's always fun to watch at their faces.
yeah, exactly. And remember the second thing, we are from Poland,
Yeah.
so we can more.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, those Dutch are a bit pushes.
Yeah, guys, do you have any more questions to that Ram, or maybe the rest Ram?
I have no question, but just let's say opinion. It's for me. It's another way. Today we have tried seven different rams from one distillery, and in my it's a true, it's a fact, that's my opinion. They are a pretty young one, and I'm really maybe I will use this word, surprised that such young rams maybe may taste really good. Yeah. So we have a very wide palette of different tastes. The smells different also, and I feel that there is a hope for me and my brother-in-law that we can achieve the similar effect in his garage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's very clear.
We don't need tropical climate. It's only a question of a passion and. But to be serious, I understand that you are leading, let's say, some kind of experiment, because for example, you use different batches from the, as you said, to fill up the cask with the Dunder ram. You need at least 3 different batches. So that I understand that they are a little bit different ones. So you can't you are not able to repeat this specific ram without maybe blending or some other.
Yes, especially the wild yeasts are difficult to keep consistent. So I think for the other rums, we now like learning from the last few years, finding out our recipe, we can be pretty consistent. So our base additions, they're quite similar. There are a few things that always will be different, and that's like every cask is different because a cask used differently, but also wild yeasts are differently every time. So we don't have one wild yeast that we use. We grow different ones for every batch that we do. But the ones that we do with commercial yeast, they're quite consistent. Yeah. And also with Dunder, we can do that quite consistent. Yeah.
But I still feel that it's a lot of fun to produce, even if, as you said, you produce the consistent one. For example, Madeira style rum. It's still a lot of fun to observe how does it change in the every month, let's say.
Yeah.
So I feel that your story is pretty nice place to visit by the clients. For example, if I would visit Amsterdam every month, I will have a similar fun for trying
lots of fun to be tried out. Yeah, no, you're right. I already have been spoiled with the opportunity to try casks for the last few years and see the progress. But most people don't have a lot of barrels at their workplace. So it's nice to have a store like that to try out straight from the barrel. Maybe there's also a Polish one soon. Maybe you can also start a store with tasting from the barrels.
We will see. We will see. Okay, guys, anyone else? Question?
Maybe
I don't have a question. I would like to add something on top of that, if you don't mind, Judith. I wasn't able to taste any of those today because of the flu. I was trying to smell them. I'll definitely go back to them soon enough. But the last one, the under one, was the only one that actually I was able to smell. So it's not COVID, at least that I know. But I don't know if you agree, guys. If you agree with me, if it's just the medicine or starting working and my nose got better. But this one smells the most, at least for me, because I could feel it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the medicine or if it's actually true.
True. Yes.
I think
that's true. That's also why we put it at the end.
I think maybe next year. I'm not sure because this is too late now. But next year maybe I will do the next super powerful tasting for people with flu.
Yeah.
No, I just didn't want to waste a good stuff. As Łukasz here, I'm also a whiskey fan more than a rum fan. But I like to explore new things. I wanted to add one more thing, just one thing. I love labels on your bottles. I think they're very nice. It's something that make you stand out.
Yeah, thanks. That's really nice because, well, in this whole world, I have noticed you need to stand out because it's quite you need to get somewhere, even though like the big companies are usually better at getting somewhere. And if you really get attention on the shelf, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good to hear that you like the labels. Yeah.
For
Thanks.
me, although the labels are romantic. Really, really nice. I like them. I like them also. I have the bottles, so I can feel it, in my hand. So yeah, I can confirm that. Yeah, they are beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good to hear.
Łukasz, take off the pillow. You take a room cure.
I wanted to try the last one because it's almost 60%, so like a disinfectant.
Yes, only cask strength. I think this is the best cure. At the moment I never been a flu as everything what is bad for me. So
no, yesterday I wasted a lot of
whiskey and rum is the best cure
I was trying
of the
to cure
flu.
myself. I didn't want to do it today.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
Jacek, you wanted to ask something?
No, I want to tell something about this room. I just feel the passion, I smell the passion on your rooms. They are excellent. They are very young, but I smell and taste the passion that's yours. And I also want to thank you very much for. I'm a new guy in this rum society, just learning a rum, and for last rums was for me very interesting. You make an experiment which is very interesting for having something totally new. We can find anywhere rum maturated in X sherry, X bourbon, etc. But what you done in what you show us on your virgin cask on fresh cane juice and dunder was for me was very interesting. I know that is not my style, but I know right now that is not my style, especially especially the American oak. But I like very much the sugarcane juice. There was something surprisingly good for me. So thanks very much for this.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear that. Something that we also found very important to show the different ways of rum that you like that. That's really good to hear. And we are definitely planning to show more in that account. So not really all different casks, but also really in few steps back into the production, we are already going to change a lot of things and show it to everybody. And hopefully also we'll also be surprised when our casks get a little bit older, but we don't know yet, so we'll have to wait.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else, guys? Because we have to find some minutes on our after party.
Okay.
Also nice.
And I don't want to take too much time from Judith. So Judith, I thank you very much. If do you want to add something to our tasting tonight?
Well, thanks for inviting me. Obviously, it was a lot of fun to host a tasting for you in Poland, which is always feels weird from your house in Amsterdam, I guess. So I thought it was really a lot of fun to meet some rum or going to be rum nerds. I hope it wasn't too nerdy, and I hope you liked it. And maybe we'll meet someday in the future. Or hopefully, I can come to a rum fest in Poland. I'm already
you have
planning
to.
that for a while. So hopefully,
Definitely.
this year maybe I can fix it.
It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, you have to come, and I want you be sure that during my next trip, it doesn't matter where I come alone or with our group, we will come to your place, your distillery. So be prepared for us.
Okay. I'll be prepared.
You're always prepared. Perfect.
Yeah, I think you must close your warehouse.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all one room, so
Yeah. Okay, Judith, one more time. Thank you very much. Remember, give back to me my power.
yes, I will do that. I'll stop sharing my presentation and give it back to you.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works.
Oh, perfect. So one more time, thank you very much. Now I will stop our recording and our
Meetings.
screening on Facebook, and now it's time for us for our after party. Okay, so Judith, one more time, thank you very much. We will see you soon next year. Yeah.
Yes.
Are we planning to take a part of next year a festival in Imoiden or not? Or
Yes,
not?
I think so. If all goes well, that's always one that we do. It's the Rum Festival in the Netherlands. So yeah, we'll definitely do
Okay.
that.
Okay. So we will see each other for sure.
Yes, and let me see how I can get you a host.
Thanks very much, Judith. Bye bye. Kisses.
Thank you. See you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.